And new audio recordings revealing more about former President Trump and his final days in office, all brought to you by our chief Washington correspondent, Jon Karl, while reporting for his new book. Jon spoke with Donald Trump about the deadly January 6th insurrection on the Capitol just 2 days after it happened. Let's take a look back at what he said.
But if you look at the real size of that crowd, it was never reported correctly. It's the biggest crowd I've ever spoken in front of by far.
Really?
By far. That went down to that went back to the Washington Monument.
You told them you were going to go up to the Capitol. Were you just...
I was going to, and the Secret Service said, you can't. And then by the time I would have, and then when I got back, I wanted to go back. I was thinking about going back during the problem to stop the problem, doing it myself. Secret Service didn't like that idea too much.
So what?
I could have done that, and you know what? I would have been very well received. Don't forget, the people that went to Washington that day, in my opinion, they went because they thought the election was rigged. That's why they went.
For more, Jon joins me now. So, Jon, you know, Trump revealed to you that he wanted to go back to the Capitol himself to, how did he say it, stop the problem. How does that match up, though, with what we really know today about his actions that day?
Well, first, I should say, when he said that to me, the reason why I asked him about it is because in the speech, as we all remember, on January 6th, he said, and we're going to go down to the Capitol, and I'm going to be with you. And, of course, he didn't go. And I never believed him. I didn't believe him then. I didn't believe that he really wanted to go down there. I didn't think he'd ever want to put himself in danger like that. But when I saw Cassidy Hutchinson testify before the January 6th committee about what she was told by Tony Ornato about the way Trump was, you know, lunging at his own Secret Service detail when they were refusing to take him to the Capitol, I'd say, I mean, it was like a bells went off. I went back to my interview and found that piece of recording. It's astounding because he's not just saying that he wants to go there, but what he's saying is that if he had gone there, he would have been very well received. And he says during the problem, I mean, the problem is the assault on police officers. It's the breaking into the Capitol building by his supporters. And he's acknowledging there to me that he would have been well received by those people that are attacking the building, which shows that he knew that he had the power to call them off. And what we know, Kira, chapter and verse, from so many different directions, including watching him on the day itself, is he did nothing to call the rioters off, did nothing for more than 2 hours before finally issuing that videotape, asking them to go home, but also praising them and saying, we love you, and saying, we love you.
You know, in the audio, it also shows that Trump kept boasting about the size of the crowd. He kept telling you that. He was proud of what he saw on that day, January 6th.
I mean, the way he talked about it, it was as if it was maybe the greatest day of his life. And you heard him say that, and how does Trump judge greatness? One of his biggest criteria is crowd size. He says it was the biggest crowd he had ever addressed. He looks back quite fondly on January 6th. And now you see it. I mean, it's not just this old audio tape. We saw what he did just 2 weeks ago when he referred to the January 6th prisoners, the people that have gone to jail, gone to prison for assaulting police officers and breaking into that building. He called them, he said, they're not prisoners, they are hostages. Those are his terms. Using that term during what we're seeing unfold in Israel, by the way, using that loaded term hostages to describe the people like that you're watching on your screen who broke into the building.
You know, do you think any of this will play into the criminal charges against him?
I mean, it may. Jack Smith's indictment, as it was, as it first came out, the actual indictment is focused more on what Trump did to overturn the election, really in the weeks before January 6th, and his pressure on Mike Pence and all of that. But in more recent filings, it has become obvious that Jack Smith is also focusing on the violence itself and Trump's culpability for what happened. And I think that this could be a critical piece of evidence in that part of the case. Well,
this is your third book on Donald Trump. I'm curious, what stood out, you think, more so than the other books?
I think that, so I wrote the first book to document what it was like to be in that White House in a time under a president like none that we had ever seen before. I wanted to describe it. I wanted to give a feel for it. That's front row at the Trump Show. Then, after January 6th, I wrote Betrayal because I wanted to get the historic record down as to what happened and led to that day. This one is different, and I think it's more urgent, and I think in a way it's more important because this is something of a warning. This is a look at not just what happened in the past, but what we have learned about where Donald Trump is right now, how he has changed, how the people around him have changed, what he is talking about doing if he were to get back in the White House. This is a very much more a forward-looking book with a lot of reporting on something that really hasn't been paid much attention to at all, and that's what Trump has actually been doing since he left the White House.
Well, if things keep going the way they are going, and the polling shows that he continues to stay in the lead out of all the Republicans, you have many more books to come, Jon Karl, and we will be talking about all of them. Tired of Winning, Donald Trump and the End of the Grand Old Party. It's out now wherever books are sold. Jon, thanks.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.